your questions. And
Oh,
then we're going to dovetail into SaaS and business coaching. Today we're going to talk about the power of pain in selling and how you can maximize your opportunity. So my name is Mario. I am the head of partnerships here at HL Pro Tools. I am not wearing an HL Pro Tools shirt today, unfortunately, because they're all dirty and in a suitcase. But I will definitely be wearing one next time. So forgive me for that. But we're going to get started. Ray has a couple questions, and then we'll dovetail right into our conversation piece.
I have the same exact shirt, by the way.
I love this shirt,
every
man.
I think every guy in like the Northeast has one. That's like a Paul Bunyan shirt, I guess, right?
Yep.
Yep. But anyway, so um, I guess I'll just give you a scenario because I've seen how you operate. You're awesome. You always think these things through. So I've got a reactivation campaign, and I built this, and I'll share it with you in a second. I'm gonna just start to pull it up. It's a sick, crazy, workflow. Um, it's got, all kinds of different branches and stuff like that. Problem that we're having is that, you know, um, I want to know how to, I think I could simplify it because it's like crazy, using AI. And I wanted to get your kind of opinion on, how, and I was thinking like, can AI be used to analyze like answers to like questions and then distribute them throughout the right branches? Um, it's not really, we don't want them to conversate back, as much as, so the negative and positive intent in high level is not accurate.
Correct.
We've gotten FUs and it goes into the positive side of the thing, and it's like, oh, why did this thing end up in positive intent?
Yeah, so you can do a prompt to classify. There's the text classification function isn't technically enabled in GHL yet, but you can use a prompt to classify the message based on the user's intent. And then you explicitly instruct it to only return a yes or no answer, and then you use an if-else condition after that.
Wow. See, you got the answers to everything. Can I show you my workflow
Yeah,
and just
man, let's
walk
do it.
through it and just give you what we're trying to accomplish? I guess I'm sure if you read the first SMS, you'll know what we're trying to do. So let me just share first and get this thing up. Share screen. Can you see my screen yet? What the hell happened? All right, it says it's sharing my screen.
Yep, I got it.
All right, cool. All right, so wow, all right, so we're this is a dental implant specialist we're working with. And basically, we found they had 15,000 leads and they weren't touched. They basically left them for dead, and all they were concerned with was new leads coming in, which they were spending 20 grand a month. And and happy with that because they were getting 5 to 6 leads and it was making them 200,000. So they thought that was a great return. And the first time I looked at it, I was like, "Are you guys are nuts? You're whatever." So first part of our reactivation campaign is basically, hey, are you still interested? And my idea was to go fully digital, is give us a 1, 2, or 3, right? And same thing with the email, just involves a trigger link. All right. So if they hit 1, we get internal notification, we tag them, we create an opportunity, and then we ask them morning, afternoon, evening, or ASAP, you know. And each time we're moving them into a hotter level of the pipeline. So if they made 1 reply, we're going to keep an eye on that and we're going to call them back as soon as possible. The problem, as you can see here, because, I have one, two, three, four, and then, you know, a lot of people are replying like with other stuff, like, oh,
Yeah, so what you need to do is in the none branch.
yeah,
So go to the none branch,
the none branch, right?
and in the none branch, what you need to do is put in a GPT action
Yep.
and then have it do custom GPT action.
Oh, custom GPT.
It's right there. It's chat GPT powered by OpenAI.
Yep.
And then let me request screen control from you because this will be faster.
Sure. I love you, man. You're awesome. You're just like so quick on this.
Absolutely, brother. Happy to help.
But my bigger question was, given the mission, that we're trying to do. Look at you. I love this though, because I'm trying to use these GPTs, but I really need an example of.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're using the custom G. So for everyone who just joined, Ray's question was how to classify, like, let's say you have conditional statements for people responding one, two, three, or four, but they respond with the actual message as opposed to one, two, three, or four because people are dumb. Um, what you do is you use the custom GPT card, and the first thing you do is you put the message body in the actual prompt, and in the system instructions, you put your secondary prompt. So this is what controls the user prompt. So you've been provided with a message from a customer that needs to be classified into one of four categories. I can't type today. My hands are cold.
So the categories are morning, afternoon, or evening. Just so you know.
But
One.
you have four options. So
Yeah,
this
I
is
have four options. Okay.
yeah, so I'm just gonna give you an example and then you can kind of build it out from there.
So this is where I would put in morning, afternoon, or evening.
Correct.
Okay.
Like in this specific case, you need to match these four categories that you have in here.
Yep.
So your actual conditions are
One, two, three, or four. I did put morning. I put some words in there. If they actually
ASAP. Yeah, ASAP was the other one. So
Yep.
we'll do this. It's we'll go
Morning
into
after.
the system prompt.
I almost didn't join tonight. I'm so glad I did, man.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm glad you joined. I'm glad everyone's here. Thank you so much. Okay, so return only return the exact the
Guess
exact
it's a
class.
number, right? Okay, exact classification or
Yeah, only return the exact classification. Actually, the number.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do number. I like that
The
better.
exact
Number.
number that it classifies under or whatever.
So this is a really important part when you're doing classification prompts. You have to
Mhm.
tell it no additional text or description.
Okay. Simply the numerical digit. Wow.
All right, so we're going to do this. And then the next thing we're going to do is an if else branch.
We're gonna move. Okay. If, yeah.
And then we're going to do one, and we'll do the GPT response is one. Clone this. We'll do two. We'll clone this. We'll do three. We'll clone this. And we'll do four. And then what you do is you're going to do a go-to step.
Yep. Go to. That's yeah. All right. I was thinking the same thing.
Yep, so go-to step. Save this action. Come over here and go right here. And then you would just
Yep.
repeat that for the other ones.
Wow, man. All right, that's cool. Now, my follow-up question. Given you see what we're doing here, right?
Yep.
You can already, is there a simplified way to maybe put that GPT up higher and simplify this whole,
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
could you could essentially kill this entire, like you'd move all of these stacks under these GPT cards
right.
and then move this GPT and make the GPT the primary classifier.
Uh-huh. And then have it, and then do the if else's after the GPT and have it do the create blah blah blah, add tag, all that shit, right?
Exactly.
So I put the if else's under the GPT. Um, so I guess I would have to rewrite it because I would just have to classify it and would it, because I'm lost where
Actually,
the go to would be.
the simplest way to do it is, so that's kind of cheating the system in terms of getting it over there, would be to do this. God damn it. Come on.
It's not moving over.
Hold on.
There you go.
Yeah. We put it here. We delete this. Oh, why did it? What's it doing? There we go. So now the GPT step is right here.
Okay.
And then in your conditions, you're gonna have to change this. And I'll let you kind of take over and do this on your own, but you're gonna have to change this from replied message
Yeah.
to, oh, it's not gonna work because it's oh wait, yeah, well. So go to GPT, OpenAI response is one. And
Ah.
then change this replied. And you can, I would do it so it replies morning or one just for safety purposes.
Yeah.
But yeah, this should work.
This is awesome. I knew there was a way to simplify it.
Yep. All right. Cool. If we hop into our SaaS and business coaching.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone who has just joined us. Again, my name is Mario, and I am the head of partnerships here at HL Pro Tools, for those of you who have just joined us. So what I want to talk about today is the power of pain in selling. So who here, go ahead and drop in the chat. If you sell a product, what is the product that you sell? Just drop it in the chat, just a really short description of the product you sell. It can be anything that you think is your product. No takers? Are
I'm
you guys
going.
just slow typers?
Slow typing.
So one of the common confusions when people are talking about the product they're selling is that they often commoditize or widgetize the product they're selling. And that creates a lot of confusion on the customer's end. And it also doesn't provide value to the customer from a alligator brain standpoint. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the different portions of the brain, one of the first portions of the brain that we use for kind of a little bit of fight or flight response, a little bit of initial processing is called the alligator brain. And that's how it's described by Dick Tracy and a bunch of other, top sales coaches. And what it means is that it's the part of the brain that determines whether or not we are going to be scared, offended, or if we're going to how we're going to initially react. So if you've ever heard the term the yuck, where you look at something or you see something or hear something and instantly you react with this like offended mentality or offended sentiment, that's your alligator brain kicking in, saying that, okay, this is potentially harmful or dangerous, or maybe it doesn't provide value. So in order to get past the alligator brain, one of the things that I coach people on is how to position their product effectively. And if any of you were faster typers and I could see the messages that you were going to be posting here in the meeting chat, there we go. So automation and AI services for dental practices. So that is a widgetized version of a product. That's not the actual product that you sell. That's the deliverable of what you sell. So you're selling automation and AI services for dental practices as a deliverable, but the actual product you're selling is time. And pretty much every product that we offer will boil down to one of two things. Either it makes money or it buys back time. Or three, peace of mind. Four, improved quality of life. Right? So four different categories of products that you're really selling. And when you're offering these products, it's really important that you make sure that you are positioning yourself effectively from a sales standpoint. And what I mean by positioning yourself effectively from a sales standpoint is that you have to get past that customer's alligator brain and you have to make sure that they don't feel like they're being sold a widget. Because whenever people are looking at buying widgets, like think about the last time, and I used this example earlier in a coaching call. Think about the last time that you went and bought toilet paper, right? Everyone has their preferred brand, but maybe their preferred brand isn't on sale. So they don't buy the preferred brand, they buy the knockoff, or they buy Charmin instead of Ultra or something like that, right? At the end of the day, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. The service it provides and the ultimately the product is that it wipes your butt, right? And makes you clean. So when you're selling toilet paper, you'll notice that toilet paper manufacturers never say, we sell toilet paper or we sell sheets of paper on a roll. They say we sell cleanliness, we sell fresh scent, we sell comfort, right? These are all the things that they're providing, the solutions they're providing to people that are not productized or widgetized. So make sure my first recommendation to you guys is whenever you're positioning your product that you always sell on the value and the solution that you're providing the customer. So in Ray's example of automation and AI services for dental practices, he's absolutely correct in saying that he's selling peace of mind. He's selling time back in the dentist's day. He's selling money in the dentist's pocket because it's very common for people to miss leads, right? Like, obviously, if the front office staff is on lunch, and oftentimes in medical and dental practices, pharmacies, places like that, you'll notice that they all take lunch at the same time for an hour-long block. Well, what happens to all of those calls when they're received, right? They don't get received, they go to voicemail, and people are generally objective to leaving voicemails, as we found in this century or in this decade, because it's become such a commonplace thing that people almost overthink it. So what Ray is really selling is the ability to have time back in their day to eat lunch. He's selling peace of mind that they're not going to leave lead or not going to lose leads. And he's selling an increase in revenue in their potential to capture those leads that are coming in. So that's piece number one, right? Whenever you're selling, you always want to make sure that you're selling on solutions, not selling on widgets. The second part that I want to talk about is selling on pain and relief. So how do you sell on pain and relief, right? Well, a lot of times business owners don't know they're in pain. They recognize they have a problem or a challenge, but they don't really correlate it to a pain response, right? And the only kind of bad pain response when you're selling is literally if you pinch the customer. But if you were selling numbing cream, for example, and you pinched the customer, you just sold them on a solution. You sold them on the fact that they don't have pain when you pinch them, right? So the idea on selling on pain and solutions, or pain and pain pills, is that you're giving the business, you're inciting some sort of fear or pain in the business owner's mind by highlighting the things that they already know. Like, chances are business owners know they're missing leads, right? But when someone else calls out the fact that we're doing something wrong or we're missing a lead, something like that, what it does is it actually hits our alligator brain and is like, oh man, that's like they just called me on the carpet for the fact that I don't answer every phone call. Or they called me on the carpet for the fact that in booking appointments, customers have to wait on the phone for an hour while reception picks up to book their phone or to book their appointment. Or if in a pharmacy's case, the customer has to wait in the queue in the IVR before they can refill their prescription, right? So what we do instead is we leverage tools and the things at our disposal, especially inside of HighLevel, whether it be the AI solutions, automations, conversations management, opportunities, all these different things. We leverage those tools to effectively elicit a pain in the business owner's mind. So one example would be like, um, for communications, right? So we'll go through some different examples of what kind of pain points you can elicit in a business owner's mind, right? So you say, hey, listen, let's say you're a manufacturer and you have a bid out to a customer, right? And I'm just using manufacturing as an example. You are or a consulting agency or a SaaS agency, and you have a proposal or a bid out to a customer, and the salesperson that's responsible for those bids gets, God forbid, COVID for a week and is out of the office. What happens to that deal when that customer doesn't get a response or a timely communication during the week the salesperson's out? Sure, they're going to set an out of office reply, et cetera, et cetera. But let's say that that customer's need is urgent, and all customer needs should be treated as urgent, because in a customer's mind, they're the only thing that matters. They're the most important thing for a business owner to court and to cater to, even if you have 100 or 200 or 1,000 customers. Each individual customer expects that you're going to treat them like they're the only person in the world. So how do you do that, right? If your salesperson's out for a week, what do? How do you pick up the emails where they left off? How do you communicate with the customer? Well, and the business owners can be like, well, we don't. And it's like, well, what happens to that deal then? Because the customer thinks that it's urgent and the customer's now not getting a response. What does that mean for the opportunity? And the business owner is going to be like, oh my gosh, you're right. And you're like, okay. And you take a note. And I don't know if any of you guys are in therapy or have been to a therapist previously, or like marriage counseling or anything like that, but nothing is more painful than your therapist taking notes, because what it is and going, okay, interesting. What that does is it says to the business owner that, oh my gosh, they're thinking something, I've done something wrong. And you've just elicited a fear and pain response in that business owner. So one of the things that I always recommend doing when you're out there selling, again, is not to widgetize your product to sell the solutions you're offering, but how do you arrive at the solutions you're offering? When I ran my creative agency and now when I do my consulting agency, one of the ways that I found most effective to sell people on products was really not to sell them at all, especially in the first meeting. A lot of times they'll ask for pricing right up front. They'll be like, okay, what's this going to cost? And you're like, look, I don't have a cost for you yet because right now we need to understand what your needs are and what your pain points are. If the customer keeps driving at a cost and keeps driving at really just hammering down at what's this going to cost, you're either talking to the wrong person or you're talking to a purchasing agent, one of the two. Or you're talking to the wrong, I guess one of three, you're talking to the wrong type of customer. So what I digress to say is that it's really important that you, especially in the first meeting or the first 15 minutes of your sales call with a customer, what we call the discovery phase, that you ask a fair amount of pain or fear eliciting questions, but not too many so the business owner gets overwhelmed and just feels like it's hopeless and they can't accomplish anything. And then after that, whether it be on a follow-up call, and this works really well where you say, okay, we've been talking for about 15 minutes. I understand. And you say it, your pain points are as follows. And you don't use the word challenges. You don't use the word problems. You use the word pain. And you keep reiterating, it's kind of like the mentalist theory, right? You keep reiterating the word pain over and over again in your conversation. And you're continuing to entrench that pain in the customer's mind and getting them to think about all the things that are painful for them. And then they're going to go back and ruminate on that conversation and be like, okay, man, yeah, I'm in pain. Like, this isn't just a problem. This isn't just a challenge. This is actually pain. And what do people want when they have pain? They want a solution. They want someone to come in and be their white knight and give them the virtual equivalent of Vicodin for business. So what you give them is the pain pill that is the solutions. So whether it be in the second half of your call, after you've reiterated their pain points again, and said, do you have any other things that you think are painful or challenging in your business? Making sure to at least first use the word painful. When you do that, the second half of your call or the second call that you have is going to be where you present the pain pills that are going to solve this business owner's problem. And how do you do that, right? So if I walked in to a dentist's office and I said, I would like to I say my pain, because if I'm in a dentist's office, chances are it's either for a cleaning, which is routine and service based, so not really something you're going to sell on necessarily pain points on, unless you want to sell on, bad breath or something like that. But if they come in and the person's like, my tooth really hurts, what have they expressed? They've expressed pain, right? The dentist isn't going to be like, well, here, let me sell you this, root canal, or let me sell you this drill and hammer to chip out the root of your tooth, right? Because that would be really offensive as the customer. The dentist just tried to sell me a widget or a service, right? But I didn't come in for a widget or a service. I came in for relief. So how do doctors respond? How do dentists respond to situations like that? They say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that you're experiencing that pain. Let me help solve that pain for you. Let me help relieve that pain for you. So when you're in your second half of the call or you're in your second call, what you're going to do is you're going to structure your response to line by line go through itemizing their pain points and then addressing their pain points by saying, yes, we can absolutely solve that. We have solutions that include the deliverables of AI voice, text to chat. But ultimately, what you're going to tell the customer is you're going to say, listen, your pain point is that you miss leads. So how about if I had a solution that you could never miss a lead again, that every lead that comes in is going to be qualified, every lead that comes in is going to have an appointment booked, and there's going to be zero wait time on the phone, so people aren't going to hop off, right? Do you see what I did there? I didn't sell them a service. I didn't sell them a widget. What I sold them was a relief to their pain problem. And then the customer is going to ask naturally, well, how much does it cost? Right. So that leads me into my third point. And for everyone who just joined, feel free to drop questions in the chat if you have any. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have. What we're talking about today, for those of you who just joined, is selling on pain and relief and selling on solutions, not widgets and products, right? So when I talk to the business owner about cost, a common objection or a common falter or pitfall that salespeople fall into is that they come in and they say, oh, I'm going to charge you, $600, and that's a great price. Well, to the business owner, $600 immediately is going to sound expensive, right? Now, I used to sell my SaaS for $15,000 for a setup fee and $497 a month. That was how much I sold my SaaS plans for. And the way that I was able to do that was by positioning myself to get across their alligator brain, by selling, by asking them the right questions to elicit the pain and fear response, explaining to them that I had a solution that would work for them. And then the third, and how the solution would typically work, kind of going through a war game scenario of a customer interaction. And the third piece that I would do, one of the third pieces that I would do is I would ask them, well, what's it worth to you? Now, you don't want to directly ask a customer what's it worth to you, because that's also going to be offensive to the customer, right? So what you want to do is ask the customer, well, tell me about your time. And the business owner is going to be like, well, what do you mean about my time? And like, what do you bill out at per hour? And if the business owner is like, well, I don't know. And it's like, well, okay, then let's backtrack it. What would you, if you had to go and sell an hour of your time to somebody, what is the average price you would set for that hour? If they still say they don't know, the next thing you ask them is, okay, well, let's say that you make $20 an hour, and that $20 an hour plus overhead plus everything else, let's say that you're selling your receptionist time, right? Saving your receptionist time. When you sell saving the receptionist time versus saving the business owner time, they're basically equivocal. But what you're doing is you're going to ask the business owner to explain to you how much that employee is worth per hour. If the business owner says, okay, well, they're worth about $20 an hour, you say, okay, plus overhead, let's tack on 30%, plus management costs and training, let's tack on another 30%. They're probably going to be at about, $50 an hour is about what you should bill that employee out at to a customer retail, right? If you're paying them $20 an hour, you should bill them out at 50 to 75. So when you do that, what you're doing is you're establishing a foundation for laying your price point out to the business owner. And by establishing a foundation to lay the price point out to the business owner, what you've done is you've positioned yourself from power. You've put yourself in a position of power. You've put yourself in a position of authority by saying, I have concrete evidence that my $600 a month will save you 10 hours of time. At $750, if they bill it at $750 or $75 an hour, at 10 hours of savings per week, that equates to a couple $1,000s a month. So in the grand scheme of things, $600 a month to save a couple $1,000s a month is a very logical expense for business owners to make. And one of the objections that I'll hear is, oh, I don't have the money. And it's like, what are you talking about? You don't have the money. If I'm saving you time on your receptionists, or I'm saving you time as the business owner, how is it possible that you don't have the money to spend, and call them out on it? How is it possible that you don't have the money to spend on saving that solution? Do you know how to operate your business? Now, obviously, don't say it like that. Tactfully phrase it more effectively. But what you've done at that point, again, is positioned yourself in authority and positioned yourself in power. So the fourth thing that I do, and if you have any questions, guys, feel free to, again, drop them in the chat. The fourth thing that I do is I always sell with a customer journey. And what I mean by selling with a customer journey is that you're going to want to prepare a demonstration, whether it's on a webinar or it's for an individual customer, that is relevant to their business and their needs. Let's say that I was at a conference 2 months ago presenting on artificial intelligence. And I have a really good way of not selling while selling by using the pain and relief method, because I elicit that question, right? That kind of itching question, burning question in their mind of, does this guy know how to fix my problem? Does this guy know how to solve my pain? Right. And in what I did at that event was I actually picked a business in the crowd. I knew it was a maritime industry or boating industry crowd. So I actually picked a boating, one of the attendees, and focused on their business. Now, I asked the business owner for approval in advance of doing this, which I recommend you do. But I asked the business owner in advance for their approval to be able to use their business as a case example for what a solution could look like for these businesses. And it was so easy to give a customer journey and relevant customer picture to that audience by saying, okay, call this voice AI or text this voice AI. And when it responded, it actually used the lingo for the maritime industry. It said things like docking your boat, or your Coast Guard certifications, or your boating license, or what are your dock fees that you're paying currently? How long is what's the length of your boat? What's the width of your boat? What type of boat are you using? Is it a sailboat? Is it a power boat, right? So the voice AI and the conversation AI that I was selling in this specific context were specifically tailored to the industry that I was working in. Now, sometimes you may not be entirely certain, and it's okay to ask in advance, to when the customer books the appointment, or even to put on the booking form, what industry are you in? That's why you see that in so many of enterprise sales forms and agreement, or enterprise sales forms and contact points. The salesperson will immediately ask, or the form will ask, what industry or niche are you a part of? And what that's going to do is that's going to adequately prepare that professional salesperson. And we should all strive to be professional salespeople in our businesses. Nobody in here, whether you're selling virtual assistant services, you're selling tech support services, you're selling SaaS, you're selling boats, you're selling cars, nobody in here is exempt from needing to be a professional salesperson in their life, because the better you are at selling, the better you are at getting revenue and the more money you'll make. Like if you go in for a job interview, right? What you're essentially doing is, in a way, dating. And dating is, in a way, sales, right? Because you're selling yourself and you're selling your services. And what you need to do is position yourself to be as knowledgeable as possible in the relevant industry, because you wouldn't walk into, for example, a tech support virtual assistant interview and try and sell them social media support. Because what you're going to do is turn off that person. They're not going to be interested. It's not going to be relevant. You wouldn't talk about your experience in, maybe the telecom industry for wireless engineering if you're going in for tech support in the healthcare industry, right? You talk about your tech support experience in the wireless industry as opposed to the wireless engineering experience. So you cater your resume, you cater your proposals, you cater your conversation and your demos specific to the business that you are trying to be a part of and trying to work with, so that they feel like you paid attention. And I don't know about all of you, but in relationships of any type, whether it be professional, whether it be business, it could be personal, it could be familial, any type of relationship you want, there's a couple things that you have. There's a couple things that you look for in a healthy relationship, right? You want to be heard, you want to be taken care of, and you want someone to treat you with respect. Treating someone with respect, that's natural for most people. So, well, maybe not for most people, but that's natural if you're a salesperson. You should always treat your customer with respect. They want to be heard. They want you to listen to them. That was my discovery call point earlier. And they want to feel like they're being taken care of. Well, how do you give them that taken care of feeling, or that feeling of they will be taken care of? What better way to do that than to cater your demo specifically for the niche that you're working with? So I actually have in my demo account a Rolodex of like 20 AI agents, right? Because the max you can have in your account currently is 20. So I picked what I thought were the 20 top niches, which is like plumbing, HVAC, roofing, real estate, pet care, restaurant, fast food, and there's a bunch of other ones. But I picked what I found were the top 20 niches, and I built out demo bots for each niche. So that when I go, and I also did the same thing for conversation AI, so that when I go into the sales presentation, I activate the appropriate bot to communicate with that customer. And I help the customer either by pre-telling them as their homework to come to the meeting that they need to check out this opportunity after the discovery call, that they need to go through a customer journey of what my solution looks like without really telling them what the solution is going to be. Or in the actual call, or in the actual presentation time, when you're about to sell the customer and close the deal, I'll actually walk them through the customer's journey by stepping through the different stages. So I'll be like, okay, let's propose some different scenarios. And in my Google document that I have as my internal notes that I'm taking for the meeting, I very meticulously detailed out different customer scenarios that could potentially happen. For example, going back to Ray's dentist example, the dentist is actively working on someone's teeth and the front receptionists are out of office for lunch. How do you handle a lead being missed, right? Well, the dentist told me that one of their pain points when I asked them, how do you handle a situation like this, is that they don't. So what I do is I actually present them with an example of the solution right then and there, and I'll even tailor it to their business name, which is as simple as changing out a couple things in your prompt. Super, super easy. So I'll actually tailor it to their business and show them what it looks like. Now, the other thing that accomplishes is it shows them that you're invested in solving their pain, because you've just spent what they are going to perceive as an inordinate amount of hours trying to solve their pain by putting together this demo for them. It is like taking candy from babies when you go to close that sale and you say, all right, so the price is going to be $600 a month. We've established that it's going to save you over $1,500 a month. We've established that it's going to give you back time in your day, and it's going to solve these 5 pain points you just listed out. When you say, are you ready to go ahead and sign the agreement? I would say 8 out of 10 times that customer is going to say yes. If that customer says no, reevaluate if that customer is the right fit for you. Make sure and ask them why, right? So this is how you handle objections. Who here, and I'll answer Jenny's question in a second. Go ahead and drop in the chat any objection you can think of to someone purchasing a service from you or hiring you as an employee. What objections can you think of that a customer might present when you're a potential customer might present when you're trying to sell them on a service? Let's see if we get anyone. Thomas, that's a really good point. Thank you for sharing that. I'll wait for everyone to put in some pain points. But let's see. Oh, not at this time. I don't need it now. I would ask them, well, when would you need it? What would be at the same price point? What would be a value that would allow you to commit? And what I did right there is I said at this same price point, what would be a value for you today? Because what I'm doing is I'm not going to lower my price just because the customer wants me to lower my price. I'm not a used car salesman. I'm not out here to haggle. I'm not here. I charge $1,000 an hour for coaching. I charge $1,000 an hour for consulting, and I charge $497 now I just raised it from $297 to $497 for my SaaS clients, which is above average for SaaS prices, and people pay it all day long. You'd be amazed at how willing people are to hand over a larger sum of money than a smaller sum of money because of the perceived value. So one of the things that I was talking to one of my coaching clients about earlier is he reached out to me with an example webinar that he was running for US and Australia-based clients, right? And he said, look, my webinar is just not converting well. I'm not getting the right customers. I don't understand why. And I said, well, how much are you charging? And he said, $97 a month. And I said, that's why. 100% right there. That's why. Because at that point, again, you're a toilet paper salesman and you're selling the roll of toilet paper for a cheaper price than the next guy or a cheaper price than what they're paying now, but you're not selling on a solution or a pain point. So the business owner has no incentive to sign off on that deal. The other challenge that you have when you undercut your price, so moving into a pricing conversation, the other challenge you have when you undercut your price is that customers that have a lower perceived value of your services are going to treat you as a lower perceived value as a business. And what I mean by that is they're more likely to hop on Facebook and put you on blast because they're not paying an expensive amount of money. You'd be amazed at how willing customers are to resolve things amicably if they feel like there's a lot of money on the line. Because if they go on Facebook and they put you on blast for $97, who cares if they get a refund, right? But if they put you on Facebook, they put you on Facebook about a $497 price and you don't give them a refund, that's something, right? But not only that, they have a higher perceived value of what the service they're getting. They're going to treat you naturally with more respect. It's just human nature. That's how we've evolved as a society, is the more expensive something is, the greater service expectation I have, and the more likely I am to resolve the issue. When people's Lamborghinis break down, they don't sell the Lamborghini or bash Lamborghini. They take it to the dealership and they get it fixed. And what does Lamborghini do? They fix the problem. And they do it with tact, they do it with respect, and they do it with speed. So MH has an objection. I will revert on this after discussing your offer with the partner. Then my response to that customer is, oh, I understand. I'd really appreciate if next time we had all of the decision makers in the room, because that's a cop-out on the customer's part. And what you're doing in telling them that you want the decision makers in the room is you are making sure they understand that your time is valuable and that in order for it to be the most productive conversation, and again, language this better than just saying, I want all the decision makers in the room next time. But when you do that, what you're doing is establishing with the customer boundaries, because nothing is more annoying to me as a salesperson, or more annoying to me as a consumer, in fact, like going to a car dealership and having them be like, oh, well, I got to ask my manager. Then why am I not dealing with your manager in the first place? Like, to be totally frank with you, at this point, like, I'm here. I want to purchase a product. I know what product I want to purchase. Now, this is different if they're shopping around, right? So maybe used cars or cars aren't the best example. But if I go into an organization and I say, hey, I want this, and they're like, well, I got to get that approved through my manager. It's like, well, next time I expect your manager to be on the call. And the same goes for selling. If the customer says, I will revert on this after discussing your offer with my partner, I would say, well, I'd really appreciate it if your partner was in the room next time. It's really important that we're all on the same page, and I want them to, I want to ensure that they're receiving the most information possible, and they're getting the direct information and examples and value that I provided you. So if you have any questions about what we've talked about today, which, just to go through it again, is selling on pain and relief, getting past the alligator brain, how to deliver solutions instead of widgets, how to close a sale, how to overcome objections, and selling using a customer journey, feel free to drop those in the chat or raise your hand and unmute yourself. In the meantime, I'm going to answer Jenny Fong's question. So Jenny said, I want to start my journey as a SaaSpreneur. I've been using Go HighLevel, but only for calling. Last week, I attended the Philippines event, and I learned a lot. I believe I need to master GHL before moving forward. No. Hard no. You do not need to, and I'll answer your question in a second, MH. You do not need to master GHL at all to be a good salesperson. One, you can outsource things to people who are masters of GHL. Two, when you're out there selling GHL, do you think that an enterprise sales representative for, let's say, Twilio, knows the nuts and bolts about the technical aspects of how Twilio operates? Absolutely not. They understand the lingo and the terminology, which goes back to understanding your customers and understanding their needs and their pain points. And you need to have some understanding of how the system works. So you need to understand the features that it offers. You need to understand the deliverables that you're going to provide and how those deliverables correlate to solutions. But absolutely, Jenny, you do not need to be a master of the system. You don't need to be an expert, because the most effective business owners are the ones who know how to delegate. And by delegating, it's working with someone like Julius Guevara or Jerome Romero or any of these other people that are absolute rock stars in the high level world. What you're going to do, or Cello for that matter, or Novi, people that are absolute rock stars in the high level world, they can be either your business partner, which I don't necessarily recommend, or you can outsource it to them on a per hour basis to answer questions that are more technical in nature, and ask them to consult for you as your sales consultant or your technical sales consultant, and they can help you to answer those questions effectively for customers. Because a customer doesn't, at the end of the day, care how the sausage is made, right? That's a common phrase in the US. Nobody cares how the sausage is made. Ultimately, what they care about is they care about what the sausage tastes like, and is it going to satisfy their hunger. At the end of the day, we don't really care unless you're on a budget, which you should never work with business owners on a budget, to be totally honest with you. That's not your ideal client. You should always seek business owners who have and are willing to spend, because they recognize the value in the services that you're providing. But ultimately, if you're in a position of wealth or you're in a position of stability, you don't go and necessarily buy, unless you're a very frugal person, you don't go and necessarily buy a lesser quality of milk, because or a lesser grade of eggs, I don't know when the last time you saw grade B or C eggs, right? They're all grade A eggs or grade AA eggs. And you're not going to pay for a lesser product unless you're on a budget, because at that point, you want to satisfy your hunger and you're buying for taste. Those same principles apply to running a business and being out there selling. So, MH, you had a question about great response, but don't you think it will sound a bit rude or make them feel that you're not flexible? Not at all. As long as you phrase it more tactfully. So, maybe ask the business owner, uh, would you mind if we included your partner in the next meeting? I'd love to have a follow-up with the two of you so I can make sure that your partner gets the full value of what I've demonstrated for you today. And if they say no, I would ask them, well, ultimately, it's really important that all the decision makers are in this room. I understand that maybe you're hesitant to let me talk to them or they're very busy, but I'm willing to be flexible and accommodate their time and their needs. I'll go to your office. You can come to my office. I'll stay up late. I'll get up early. Whatever you guys need to accommodate your needs. And again, you're chipping away at their objections over and over and over again, and eventually people run out of objections. And when they run out of objections, one of two things happen: they shut down or they purchase. So, or they ask for a follow-up and you end up meeting with their business partner, in which case the sales cycle repeats and you end up selling to both people. Now, with both decision makers in the room, you can re-go through that sales process, that discovery process, make sure you have all of their needs vetted, make sure that you're providing them with the solutions, make sure that you're walking them through the customer journey, make sure that you're positioning yourself from power and authority, and you can absolutely break down that barrier. I didn't mean it as you should exactly say, next time I'd appreciate it if the customer's in the room, because that's a little bit snarky. You definitely have to language and massage it a lot better. So, New Solution Selling by Keith Eads is a great, great book. It's actually on my bookshelf. If I wasn't lazy, I'd get up, go get it, and show you. But that is an absolute treasure trove of a book. Another really good one that I'll drop in the chat is called Pitch Anything by Oren Klopp. And that is a phenomenal book for selling solutions to people. He talks about how to pitch to investors, how to pitch to business owners, from Fortune 500 companies to small businesses. It's an amazing book. Again, it's Pitch Anything by Oren Klopp. And I highly recommend also The New Solution Selling by Keith Eads. And then there's another one that's escaping the top of my head. But I will, which one's that one? Yes. The New Strategic Selling by Robert B. Miller and Stephen E. Hyman. This is the book for Miller Hyman training. It walks you through everything about the different charts, the different ways to classify your customers. There is absolutely so much information packed into these books. And I'll leave you guys with this because we're just up on time, before I open it up to questions, is that if you're not leveraging your time to consume knowledge as a business owner and a salesperson, you're doing something wrong. If you watch TV for an hour a day, imagine if you took that hour a day or even 30 minutes out of that hour to educate yourself and read or ingest by video or audio, whatever media method makes the most sense for you. I'm a huge fan of what I call Windshield University, which is audiobooks, or I'm a huge fan of YouTube University, which is watching YouTube videos. Take time to educate yourself and take time to be the most knowledgeable in take time to be knowledgeable in the industries that you're trying to serve. Take time to be knowledgeable in the products that you offer, and take time to be the best salesperson you can be. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor for any questions people have. Feel free to raise your hand. We are just up on time, so if you want to jump off, I totally understand. But does anyone have any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself and raise your hand. And
Yo,
if, yeah, what's up, Ray?
hey, you broke my workflow. I just want to ask you just what I've been looking at something here. All great information, man, by the way. I didn't know that this was a thing on you doing this. This is my thing. I've been doing this solution selling and pain thing for I'm old in the tooth, man. I'm older than most people here. I've been around and everything you're hitting on is gold nuggets, man.
Thanks,
Um,
brother. I appreciate it.
it's awesome. I mean, awesome. It kind of is reminding me of back in the day. I used to do enterprise selling, and every time everybody first question, how much is it? And yeah, I had to get by that and learn how to do it. And those books that I drop and you mentioned, they're all valuable. I suggest everybody read them. That short read that I put on there called Breaking the Time Barrier. It's
That's a
about
good one too.
it's about like an hour read.
Yep.
Great. I mean, I used to give that to all my sales reps and say, read this and I'm going to quiz you on it. And all of them would text me, an hour after I sent it to them, and they loved it, you know.
There's one more book on my shelf. Hold on a second. I'm actually gonna walk
Go
over and
ahead.
grab it. Um, this one is probably one of my favorite books. Is Beyond Selling Value,
Yep.
and it's by Mark Shanka and Dan Kosh. That's another phenomenal book. So the three books that I made all of my employees, and not just my salespeople, because all of my 15 and at one point 25 employees, and all of the people in my sales team when I was in corporate sales, and I was instilled this by my leadership in my corporate sales job. Yeah, sure, I'll send it right now. Beyond Selling Value by Mark Shanka. Pitch Anything by Oren Klopp. Extreme Ownership by Jocko and Leaf. And New Strategic Selling. Selling by Miller Harmon. So those are the four books that I made, or the three books. The top three books are the ones I made everybody read. And another really good book that I've just recently discovered that I highly recommend everyone read is called Start Thinking Rich by Adrian Brambilla. Shout out
Yeah.
to Adrian.
Old
Um,
school.
yeah, so Adrian and Dr. Brad Klontz really hit the nail on the head when they talk about how to position yourself in wealth, how to build generational wealth, and how everything in building wealth and sales ultimately are a mindset thing, right? So, and that book again is called Start Thinking Rich by Adrian Brambilla, and it's one L and Brad Klontz. And the reason so I talked about Beyond Selling Value and I talked about Pitch Anything. The reason I made everyone read Extreme Ownership is it's one of the only books that is accepted by the Navy SEAL community, written by Navy SEALs or written by any individual about the SEAL teams, because it doesn't glorify combat. What it does is it teaches you how to solve problems and overcome challenges and make strategic changes in your life and how you operate in order to overcome those challenges and solve those pain points. So those are just some really good books that I highly recommend everyone read. Ray, I know that you had a question about your workflow. So if you want to share your screen, let's hop into troubleshooting that.
Yep. Okay, so I was all right. I'm gonna ask you. I'll show you where I got stuck, and I'm gonna ask you if this was the problem. So, are you a Navy SEAL or something?
I am not. I'm a retired United States Marine.
Oh, thank you for your service, man.
Of course,
That's
brother. It was a
awesome.
pleasure to serve.
That's awesome. One of my he's not my customer, but he's a big pain in my ass. He's a Navy SEAL that's trying to build businesses and I've been helping him. I've been, pro bonoing him for years. He's trying to get he's always got a new business idea. He actually called me in between this. Okay. So here's the deal. I just took it out of the workflow. I'm gonna kick it off again. I just did the test workflow and my guy got stuck. Um, where's the GPT? Got stuck right here in the wait. Okay. I replied, like with a ambiguous reply, hey, yeah, in the AM, right? So I figured GPT would be able to do that, right? But it just got stuck there. Oh, okay. So it got stuck right here. I ran the test. You want to run the test again? Because it went through right away, and I'll get the text and let's see if it gets stuck there. I was gonna ask you because I was in the notifications. I took myself out. I was in the notification step above it. So I got a text. Did that hinder my reply somehow? Or
It shouldn't have. Go ahead and rerun yourself through the workflow. Let's take a
all
look.
right, I'm gonna do the I'm gonna save.
Or
Yeah, I
actually,
took
instead of that, can I open a new tab really quick or go into a different tab really quick?
yeah, sure. You want to go for it or okay.
Um, I'll
Where do you
just
want to
do
you
that.
want to you want to get be in my where do you want to go?
I'm just gonna go into your CRM.
Okay.
Because what I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
do is
look at yep, look at it because
your
I it did see my replies. I went in there already.
well, what I want to check is it is entirely possible that you're correct because there was an internal notification step that
Okay.
it
It stopped.
sometimes high levels workflows are weird. Is this the correct sub account?
Yes, it is. You can go to
Okay, so what I'm gonna
contacts. Go
what
to
I'm gonna
two,
do.
just go search, go to quick search, go type 201993
Oh
in
no,
the
I'm gonna add
search.
myself. I'm gonna add myself as a
Oh,
contact.
you're gonna add yourself. Go ahead. Yeah, sure. It's fine.
And then now that I'm in there as a contact, I'm gonna
You're
come
gonna
in
go.
here and test
You
this
probably
workflow.
got to refresh it or no?
No, it pulls these live.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right, so I'm gonna run this test
Yep. Text should come out to you.
and just waiting for that text to come out.
Yep.
All right, so I got one that says, "This is Deborah at Sage Dental. Simply reply yes." So I'm gonna reply yes.
Yeah, yeah, we didn't put what you got to do, or you, yeah, yeah, because we didn't put the GPT up that far. The GPT is after you reply.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so it says once. So let me look at the branches that you're in right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Just zoom out a little bit.
yeah. You got past the first one. You're in the yes column. You should be right there somewhere.
Intent type is positive. Yes, is looking. Haven't decided. Okay, so I want to go one. And then let's look at my enrollment history.
Yep.
And I'm
Waiting
waiting
for
for the
your reply.
content.
Which reply? You replied. You said right.
Yeah, it may take it a second.
What's it look? It's looking for a one or a yes.
Yep, and I just got
All right.
I just
Yeah, you're
dropped
there.
into the
So you're in
GPT
wait.
action.
You're
Yep.
in
So
wait mode.
now I'm gonna say morning.
No, no, don't say morning. Well, yeah, you could say morning because we took actually those branches say morning on them. So I I
I'll do
I wrote
early
like
AM.
early AM would be great. Because that's the kind of shit we're getting from people is like, hey, that would be great.
Okay, so I said early AM would be great. So to reset what shows in the builder, which I wish this
Oh
was live.
wow. I just saw the GPT action take something.
So let's scroll down here. Yeah, so the GPT action is currently computing my response.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get that far. So maybe it had something to do with my when I was testing. because I got a text before it and I replied, because I was in the notifications too. So, all right. So I got a text now that
Yep, I hit the
Mario.
end of the workflow. It did the opportunity, the tag, the task, the internal notification,
So
and
where'd you
removed.
end up? Let's see if
So
early
I
AM would be great.
I ended up if we go to creator update opportunity,
It's
how
not.
would I
Oh, if you
know?
go to the builder, I forgot what the opportunity is. Go to the builder again. You should have went all the way down the yes column. So all the way to the left. Yeah, all the way to the left. This is awesome because I'm gonna. This gives me a great idea to change the whole thing and just collapse this a lot. So yeah, you should be in morning call requested.
So then I'm
So
going to go
let's
back
go.
to execution logs. All I'm going to do is click on my contact or my go back to my contact
Oh, yep,
opportunity to
yep,
create a
yep,
morning
yep.
call
There you
request.
are. All right, man. That worked. So I guess it got stuck with my reply because I had gotten
Yeah,
a text before.
it got stuck because it sent you an internal notification.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, good to know. Excellent. Great, great feedback. Great, great. I mean, I didn't know I was in for this, but this is all great stuff. I used to, I lived this stuff, this whole pain selling. It works. Um, for all the people that this might be new for, this is the way to frame your clients. This is the way to build them up. I mean, I've even been talking about with my team when we're coming out with our new solution is, hey, we're gonna automate, and we're in the age of automation. We're automating like surveys, that we're asking clients to fill out before to get that pain, right? How much are you spending per month? What is your biggest, how much time are you spending doing this? All of that is to frame around the pain conversation.
Yep.
When you can identify and get them to admit that they have pain and that they are spending way too much on something, spend a lot of time doing that. Then all of a sudden your pricing becomes nothing. And if they pull objections, I already tell my answer is you're already paying for my services five
You
times
just
over.
know it.
You're
Yep.
paying for it, and that's
Yep.
my instinctive answer. I mean, I've been around, like I said, and I can you know, deal with objections, but when they give you the price thing and you're too much, that's too high. We had a guy come in here last week that was way less than you know, you just frame it as you're the solution to the pain. And Mario, you did a great job today, man. Awesome.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that.
I love your YouTube channel, your videos. I've, since the first time I got on here, I'm becoming a big fan of you. You're a
Thanks,
lot
brother.
more than just a GHL guru.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that.
Yep.
So George asked, can you refer any resources or details on how to for the customer journeys in selling? Not really, because that's more specific use case. I'll definitely look through I have a huge bookshelf. I'll look through my bookshelf and find one for you, George. If you want to join on Monday, I'll have an answer for you. But when it comes to selling with a customer journey, it's very specific to the individual business. And to be totally candid with you, I've gotten super lazy and now I just use ChatGPT to tell me their customer journey. So I literally asked ChatGPT, like, what is the process of a customer's journey in buying a furnace, right? And ChatGPT will actually go through and give me the basic process. The other thing you can do is walk yourself through the sales process. And at your first, and remember, in your first meeting or the first half of your meeting, you're going to be asking the probative questions. And this is why typically I recommend the 2 call as opposed to the 1 call. If you're selling higher ticket items where you're demoing, where you don't already have this knowledge in advance. And so if I was doing a webinar, for example, and I was doing a webinar for a bunch of HVAC providers, the first thing I would do is look through the contacts on my phone for someone who's an HVAC provider that I know. I'd call them up and ask them about the customer journey in purchasing a furnace. If I was doing a one-on-one sale for a niche that maybe is more specific, or a product that I haven't dealt with, a solution that I haven't delivered to a specific niche previously, what I would do is actually ask the customer during my first meeting, because that's when you split it up into 2 meetings. I would ask the customer during my first meeting what kind of journey their customers go through. And I drill down into that as deep as possible, into every detail. And this really comes with experience. But one of the things that you're going to ask questions are like, okay, well, you know some intrinsic facts, right? An intrinsic fact is that the customer has to reach out to the business somehow. So I asked the customer, how do customers reach out to your business? If you know the customer has to, at some point, either book an appointment or purchase a product. So I asked the customer, what's the sales journey of the customer purchasing your product or service? Explain to me how they go from reaching out to your business to product or service in hand. And then I asked them, what's the post-sale follow-up look like? Is it, something where you're reaching out to the customer for a testimonial? Are you asking them for referrals? Are you looking to upsell them on another product? So I'm asking these probative questions and gathering information. And then I usually take at least 24 hours to let the customer ruminate. 48 hours is really a good amount of time, or over a weekend. I let it ruminate in the customer's mind with all that pain and relief stuff we talked about. And then I come back to the customer with a proposed solution and relief to their pain that includes the customer journey, because I've already gathered all the information, and then I prepare the response based on, and all you have to do is put yourself in the shoes of their customer and walk yourself through the different sales steps. So if you ask let's say that I'm selling a furnace, right? Or we'll use dentists as an example. I walk into the dental office, or I call the dentist's office and I say, my tooth really hurts, I need to get it fixed. Well, what happens when I call the dentist's office, right? I'm put on hold. What happens if they're out to lunch? So these are kind of things that you just have to think of yourself, and like what common challenges a customer might face when they're interfacing with your business, or interfacing with a business. I'm happy to also, George, if you have any questions, I'm going to drop my link tree in the Zoom chat. If you have any questions, feel free to click that link and follow me on YouTube. So highly recommend everyone subscribe to me on YouTube. You can also reach out to me via Facebook. Happy to answer any questions. Or if you want to book a 15-minute meeting with me, you're more than welcome to. Again, I'm open to the community. That's literally what I get paid for and what I love doing. So I'm here to help everyone. I hope all of you, and again, thank you, Ray, for your kind words. I hope all of you enjoyed today's session and got value out of it. We're about 20 minutes over time. Absolutely. This will be posted to my YouTube channel, Jenny. So if you just want to click that link and go to my YouTube, it'll be posted there in about an hour. It usually takes about an hour to process, but it will definitely
Hey,
be up.
could you do me a favor? Could you edit my burp out of there? I didn't realize my mic was on.
Yeah, man, no problem. But thank you everyone for joining today, and I appreciate everyone's patience with me being out of town for a couple weeks, or almost 2 months. So things are a little bit spotty, but I will be in town, and I am committed to making sure that our calls go on a regular basis. So for those of you who are new today or watching this on YouTube, every Monday we have a open troubleshooting call for HighLevel. That can be anything from sales and business questions to how to market your SaaS, how to run Facebook ads, how to make workflows, how to troubleshoot workflows. Literally any questions you have, it's open season on question time. So that's the most engaging call, where you get to interact the most with me. Wednesdays are GHL updates and town hall call, as well as a little bit of AI stuff, so AI updates. And then Fridays are SaaS and business coaching. So Thank you all for attending, and I will see all of you on Monday at 5 p.m.
Cool. Thank you, Mario.
Yep. Cheers, guys.